Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Dominique Johnson, board member and chair of the Volunteer Recruitment Committee for Hart Math Tutoring. I've served on Hart's board of directors and as a volunteer tutor for the last 3 years. I also work for the Duke Energy Foundation as the North Carolina Stakeholder and Philanthropy Manager. So I have the distinct pleasure of working with the Hart team in that role as well. On behalf of our entire board of directors, I want to thank everyone who has been part of making tutoring possible this year for over 500 students with Hart Math Tutoring. No small feat in the midst of a pandemic. Whether you tutored regularly or acted as a substitute tutor, supported our program financially, or spread the word about the need for tutoring. Maybe you logged your own child on for tutoring or partnered with us as a leader in the CMS schools, or some combination of all of those activities. I truly mean it when I say we could not have done this without you. In my capacity as chair of the Volunteer Recruitment Committee, we worked behind the scenes this year with staff, volunteers, and board members to get the word out about the need for community members to spend just 1 hour per week as tutors. Over 1,000 volunteers joined Hart Math Tutoring this year. So to everyone on this call who was a tutor, a huge thank you. I think this has been a year where we've all been looking for silver linings. And for the first time, because of the virtual nature of the program, we were able to engage tutors who live outside of Charlotte to volunteer with our students. We could not have predicted that this would have led to volunteers joining us from over 32 different states. As so many of you look for ways to help and volunteer and be engaged, while following the guidance to stay at home. Our tutors span from college students to grandparents and everyone in between. And we were so heartened and encouraged by the diversity of the backgrounds that converged to provide this support. We continue to focus on expanding racial diversity amongst our tutors. And this year, nearly 1/3 of our tutors identified as Black, Indigenous, or people of color. We think it's incredibly important for our tutor base to reflect the diversity of our students. So we're pleased to report that this number continues to climb from 12% tutors of color when Hart began back in 2013. We still have work to do, but we're really encouraged by the progress we've made and are excited about all the progress to come. Student-centered is our #1 core value at Hart Math Tutoring. So we'll begin this program from here with a short video so you can hear directly from our students what they took away from tutoring this year. Also in tonight's program, you will hear from leaders on Hart's staff and our board chair, Peter Daniel. Our hope is that this event is a chance to celebrate our students, thank everyone behind the work, and share more about who we are as we come together to continue to help our students build the strong foundation in math and enthusiasm for academics they'll need for long-term success. So again, thank you so much for a great school year.
Favorite thing about tutor is that it's really fun. You get to meet new teachers and get to learn new stuff. That gets to learn math. And I got to ask a lot of questions and I get to be with you guys.
That I get to learn or I get to see the teachers.
About the teachers and about learning. I feel like I'm learning new things. It's really fun. You get to learn a lot of new stuff. We play with the cubes, and today we get to play with these.
My favorite thing about my tutors is how they explain things for me. And if I don't know a certain thing, they help me out with it.
They're very nice. They teach me a lot of stuff. They sometimes are funny.
It's really everything about them. I love who they are and how much they teach me and how much to make me feel more confident.
If I need help, they just help me.
I like how they always help me when I don't know something.
They care so much about me.
And I also like how they tell the truth about what things I need to practice on.
They're more confident about the subtraction.
Focus number 9.
Tens frames. So if you have them in real life, or you could just imagine them in your head, and there'll be some useful materials to use.
Extended form.
Word problems, since I used to really suck at it, but now I'm pretty good at it.
When I skip count and when I add numbers, like what equals to 9, what equals to 10, what equals to 7. When I had to do more and less. It's doing my 9s and 6s and how I go through higher and higher levels.
My word problems?
I feel comfortable about reading things, solving them.
About hiding things.
If I could tell them one thing, it would probably be that I love them and I love math.
Great job teaching me some new stuff.
I would tell them that they are very, very helpful and that they are very, very respectful.
That they're amazing.
They're the best at tutoring.
That they do a great job tutoring and I have fun with them. I'll tell them that I really like tutoring.
Thanks for helping me in math.
You are really great tutors. I feel happy.
Smarter.
Excited.
Smarter is stronger.
It makes me feel good because you get to know a lot more.
Happy. Very good.
Confident about my math.
Confident.
Confident.
Makes me feel confident and brave and show everybody how good I am at math.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining tonight. For those I haven't met before, I'm Emily Gaffney, the Executive Director and one of the founders of this organization. Thank you so much for being here and for everything you've done this year to support students. We can see in that video that even though this year was very different, students got a lot out of the program. I want to take a minute to share some reflections on the year and to thank our staff and our tutors. So at this time last year, we were just beginning to transfer our 6 curriculum notebooks into Google Jamboard and test a number of other technology options to see if math tutoring could really happen over a screen. It did transfer to a screen. After a successful 75 student summer program in summer 2020 that was delivered by staff, around 20 brave volunteers piloted virtual tutoring in an after-school format, our fall pilot, and worked out a lot of other kinks. By the time schools were ready for us in fall 2020, we were ready for them. We started rolling out the program in schools, adding students and tutors each month. And we received enough positive feedback from Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools that representatives contacted us in January and February asking us to add more schools than originally planned, which we did. So by the end of the year, the program was supporting over 500 students across 19 schools. From an operations standpoint, I really want to thank both our staff and our tutors for leaning into Heart's core value of having a growth mindset, failing fast, making tweaks, figuring it out, not expecting perfection, but persisting and learning and practicing until eventually landing on another one of our core values, which is precision. We teach our students the same thing. Keep trying. You haven't mastered it yet, but you can, and then they do. So starting with our staff, it would have been easy for programmers to have taken a year off, but they didn't. Responsible for a set number of students and volunteers at a school site, program coordinators traded in what is normally in-person conversations with volunteers and high fives with students to focus on fixing technology glitches, calling families to remind them of tutoring times, and rearranging tutoring schedules multiple times this year. Here's our list of fantastic program coordinators, and to the program coordinators, we've been so grateful and amazed by your commitment to maintaining programming for students this year and going the extra mile. I also want to thank our program director, Sydney Kramer, and our program managers who transferred the program to work virtually, and everyone else on the Heart Math Tutoring team who worked very hard to make this year come to life. Thank you. Tutors, thank you for sticking with it this year and the support you provided to students. What used to be a simple 1-hour orientation turned into the Heart 101 module, the tech self-assessment, followed by tech training options, a rabbit hole of Loom videos to figure out how to get on the computer, and then a small group orientation where you're put on the spot to share your screen and open up a jam for the first time. Once you pass through that gauntlet and met your students, then there were questions about how long the tutoring schedule would stay consistent, and the students were rotated in and out of the school buildings multiple times. We know how important it is to have consistency on our end when we ask for consistency on your end. Thank you for understanding the uncertainty that schools themselves dealt with this year and for sticking with your students to maximize tutoring. Evidenced by the students you saw in that video, it was worth it. Your efforts meant that students had successful experiences with math and a regular adult other than their parent providing encouragement in a year that was otherwise socially isolated and often pretty frustrating. We were so impressed by our students and families this year. Parents helped students log on for tutoring, and there was even a story of a neighbor running down the street to remind another student to log in. Students joined tutoring from their cars, their parents' place of work, their daycare centers, and so on. We just saw a tremendous amount of commitment to the program. In fact, students logged in an impressive 91% of the scheduled tutoring sessions. We're so proud of this number because what it means for their interest in learning with Heart Math Tutoring and in seeing their tutors. You can see that quote from a parent who said, he really enjoys this class. He reminds me when it's his days and looks forward to meeting with you and wants to be on time. During all of this, we had an instant messaging system that our staff used throughout the day. The Slack channels were firing away every day, from coordinators reporting kids talking about how much they had learned, how much they liked tutoring and their tutors, and stories about volunteers going above and beyond. Quotes like some of the ones you see on the next slide, one says, "This is hard, but I'm not going to give up." And that was a student at Batesville Road who was practicing visualizing 10 frame subtraction. On the relationship side, we got a photo on the Slack channel where one tutor had quickly changed her own hairstyle into one that matched the crazy hairstyle the student had drawn during a brain break. We also had one student notice at the end of a tutoring session that his tutor spoke with an accent. So the student asked where the tutor was from, and the tutor pulled up a map of the world on the shared screen, and they found Bulgaria together. The student shared that his father was from Jamaica, so they found Jamaica together. Then our program coordinator, Susan Gordon, who moved here from Ireland, popped into the room, and they found Ireland together. This is not the kind of thing you want to miss if you're an elementary student. Personally, one of my favorite things from tutoring this year was that last slide in the Jamboard, where students picked from a handful of questions to answer. The questions asked things like, what was hard today? How do you feel about your effort today? And things like that. I like this part because as a tutor, one of the most important things we can do is listen to the students. This slide puts so much power back in the students' hands to pick what they want to reflect on and to drive their own learning. One of my students, a 4th grader, was always happy to have a space to talk. She shared she was doing well in most of her subjects, except math, but that numbers were beginning to make sense for her. One day she said, "I've never thought about math this way." She said, "Why?" She said, "I never knew that the 10 frames from 2nd grade could help me understand larger numbers in 4th grade. And then she added, "Why didn't my teacher tell me that?" And her teacher probably did tell her that. Just like teachers have told students that 3 + 4 = 7, and students have heard all these things in their classes before, tutoring is a space for students to figure things out for themselves and get that extra practice. And that's how they internalize rather than memorize the knowledge that they need to be successful in math. And tutors, you're the ones giving students space to figure that out. So thank you so much. Looking forward just a little bit, people are asking what is going to happen after COVID-19 with the math crisis and the learning loss due to school interruptions this year. Keep in mind that actually before COVID-19, just half of fourth graders in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools were at their grade level in math. So the need has already been very large. As we think about it, because the math instruction is already highly individualized based on pre and post assessments, the math side is not going to change that much. What will change is the level of social emotional support students may need. We want to continue to emphasize that second part of a tutor's job. Half of the job is to deliver the curriculum, and the other half is to be a positive influence, listening to students and building strong relationships with them. Part of social emotional support is also ensuring students experience culturally competent support. And that's characterized by adults with listening skills and empathy, refraining from judgment, and who have high expectations for what our kids can achieve, and who value what students are already bringing to the table. We are going to continue our organization's growth in the area of racial equity. Our students are impacted by issues of race. Our whole nation is impacted by issues of race, but over 90% of Heart Math Tutoring students are Black or Indigenous people of color. We want to help make sure this part of their identity is met with encouragement and empowerment while they're in our program. This past year, 250 volunteers signed up for our new DEI network, which stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We hosted one event in conjunction with the United Way's 21-Day Racial Equity Challenge, and we look forward to doing a lot more of this with the group next year. This year, we also codified a statement from our whole staff signifying our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that's available for review on the website. I think the link will be in the chat. The statement stays very focused on our mission. Diversity of thought, experience, and identities at the adult level is critical to our organization's success. And we also aspire to see our students consistently understood and celebrated and empowered in our program. So in the aftermath of COVID-19, we'll continue to meet kids' math needs, and then we'll recognize that social emotional needs may be exacerbated as we work to give kids an experience that supports their path to whatever they desire in their lives. To each of you who supported students this year, thank you. Heart's mission is to ensure that all elementary students develop the strong foundation in math and enthusiasm for academics needed for long-term success by helping schools use volunteers as tutors. While this year was very different, we stayed true to that mission and desired outcomes. Nobody watched the outcomes more closely than Heart's Program Director, Sydney Kramer, who will take us through those now.
Good evening, everyone. I am Sydney Kramer, Heart's Program Director, and I'm going to share a few results from this year. So over the course of the year, 556 students had at least one Heart session and 515 students completed the program with a pre and post assessment. About half of our students this year were returning from the 1920 school year, and we were really excited to be able to continue to build their momentum in the program. It has been really fun to sit in on our end of year June meetings with our principal partners as we share summary data and discuss individual student progress. And one of our schools looked at every student who participated in Heart and shared that they had all demonstrated growth in their spring math assessment, and she attributes part of that success to the participation in our program. In all, students received over 5,000 hours of one-on-one tutoring, and that tutoring was provided by 1,009 volunteer tutors. Emily mentioned that our student onboarding was on a rolling basis. We added students from November to March, and on average, students received 20.3 tutoring sessions. So thank you so much to our volunteers for making that possible. When looking at student outcomes, on our post-assessment, 90% of students showed growth or mastery in at least one of the concepts we assess in our pre and post-assessments, and 71% grew to mastery on at least one new Heart concept. Our tutors are likely more familiar with our Heart notebooks that cover 12 individual Heart concepts that we deliver through those 6 notebooks. So we also looked at student notebooks passed, which had 73% of our students passing at least one Heart concept notebook and 85% passing at least one after having 15 or more tutoring sessions. Because of the majority of our tutoring happened when students were home this year, we were able to incorporate family feedback more than ever before. And this led to the creation of resources such as the Heart at Home, which is a dual language offering of games on our website that students can play with their friends and family members while they're at home to continue working on their foundational math skills. And we were also able to adapt the program based on feedback from our families. And our program coordinators worked tirelessly to coordinate with them to ensure that students were able to log on and had the resources they needed for tutoring. This really paid off, as 92% of families selected a 9 or 10 when asked on a scale of 1 to 10 if they would recommend Heart to a friend or family member. We know that some of you on this call know firsthand the challenges of distance learning and working from home this year, and we are so thankful for our Heart families for taking on that challenge and making their children's participation in Heart possible. And of course, none of this would be possible without our tutors. We are so, so grateful for every tutoring hour that each of you contribute. And we have a number of tutors who have been with us for an extended period of time, and we would like to recognize those tutors now. So this next slide shows our 3- and 4-year tutors. A big thank you to everyone listed on this slide. And this slide shows tutors who just completed their 5th year of tutoring. Congratulations. While this displays those who have been with us for 6 through 9 years. So again, a huge, huge thank you to those of you listed here. And we hope that you'll join us this fall and add another year to your count. In my estimation, the 6 people listed here deserve their own slide. The tutors here, all who tutored with us this year, have been tutoring for 10 or more years, which for those of us keeping score is since before Heart was registered as a nonprofit and before any of the current staff joined the ranks. So technically, I think we all work for these people, and we are so grateful that they keep coming back year after year. They've seen tremendous change within our program and organization, and another whipsaw year with our transition to virtual. So truly, thank you for your commitment to Heart. One unusual aspect of tutoring this year was having 2 tutors logged on for each session. We initially made this arrangement for online safety purposes, and it turned out to have some nice, fun side benefits. Taylor Fisher and I were behind the scenes pairing the tutors, often strangers, to work together. And in our mid-year survey, 86% of surveyed volunteers shared that having a partner tutor impacted their tutoring experience positively. And in a year where personal connection was really hard to come by, partner tutor relationships offered a small silver lining to our virtual tutoring environment. I'll turn it over to Mary Lauren now to talk about the partners behind our work.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm Mary Lauren Bishop. I'm Heart's Director of Development and Community Engagement, and we are very excited to celebrate a successful school year with you tonight. By way of introduction, I joined HMT in March after 6 years on the team as a volunteer tutor, like many of you. On staff, I'll be overseeing volunteer recruitment and fund development, and I look forward to meeting many of you going forward in my work at Heart. Thank you, Sydney, for sharing our results and celebrating the tremendous work of our students, families, and tutors this year. I loved the partner tutor aspect and the relationships that were built. A close friend of mine has been my partner tutor for all 6 years that we've participated in the program, but this was the first year that we were actually in the sessions at the same time together. And I couldn't believe the strength of the bonds that we made, even over a computer screen. While this year was unique for a number of reasons. One was because my partner tutor had to stop tutoring with 2 weeks left in the program year because she and her husband welcomed a new baby. And our very astute student noticed immediately that our substitute tutor was not my partner tutor when we logged on that first week. And I got to share with her that my partner tutor was taking care of the new baby and was not going to be tutoring anymore. And when I showed her a picture of the new baby, that disappointment turned to squeals of, "She's so cute," as she got yet another peek behind the curtain of our personal lives. During an in-person school year, even a 6-year-old would have picked up on a pregnancy, but because Zoom is shot from the shoulders up, that was just a very cool surprise that I got to share with our student and another neat way to bond with her. She continued to ask about my partner tutor and the new baby for the rest of our time together. We really wanted to highlight the relational aspect of tutoring in such a unique year and to thank our tutors for sharing who you are with our students. Now, I'm going to take a few minutes to recognize some of our organizational partners who support Heart Math Tutoring in this work. Our partnerships with organizations throughout the community play a vital role in making this program possible. Volunteer partners engage their employees, their students, parishioners, or members to volunteer as tutors in the schools and help to secure the more than 1,000 volunteers for Charlotte Elementary students this year. Thank you to all of these organizations. And if you're an organization that you're affiliated with isn't listed here and you think that there's potential to engage more deeply with HEART, please reach out. We'd love to connect either virtually or in person to pitch HEART's mission and volunteer opportunities to your coworkers or your fellow parishioners or your alumni or book or wine club members. And if you're interested in becoming an ambassador, helping to spread the word about HEART through email with your own networks, please email me at marylauren.bishop@hearttutoring.org. I think that's going into the chat to sign up for that role. We'll share with you some inside information during recruitment season related to the number of tutors that we need versus the number of spots that we've filled. And we'll just ask you to help us spread the word. Just like Sydney mentioned, those tutors who had been with us for the longest, we did want to give a special thank you to Bank of America and to UNC Charlotte. Both organizations provided more than 100 tutors this year. And for the UNCC number, that's just their alumni, that's just the students and the staff and faculty. It doesn't include alumni. And they've also been the top 2 volunteer partners with HEART for the past 5 years. Each have a relationship with HEART extending back beyond that, but that's an incredible length of time for both of them to have supported us in the number 1 and number 2 position. So we just wanted to extend to them a very special thank you and thank the folks who are in recruitment at both organizations. Our program is primarily supported by and is here because of philanthropy from the community. This slide is going to show the foundation and corporate sponsors who enabled our work during the 2020-21 school year. I especially want to recognize our lead sponsors, the Albemarle Foundation and the C.D. Spangler Foundation, both of whom supported HEART at or above the $75,000 level during the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2020, in support of this past school year. Albemarle is in the 3rd year of a significant 5-year investment in Charlotte area nonprofits to drive economic mobility. And the C.D. Spangler Foundation has been a HEART supporter for many years and increased their support in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. So a big thank you to those organizations and to all organizations who continue to make the work that HEART does possible. We're also incredibly grateful to have 13 school sponsors that we had this year, each of whom supports HEART at or above the $30,000 level. Thank you to Bank of America, to Barings, the Belk Foundation, Bright House Financial, Faison, Foundation for the Carolinas, Charlotte Mecklenburg Community Foundation, the Lucille P. and Edward C. Giles Foundation, the Leon Levine Foundation, Pamlico, Sisters of Mercy of North Carolina, Vanguard, Wells Fargo, and the Wells Fargo Championship. Thank you to all of our partners who believe that students can be successful and reach their goals in math with one-on-one tutoring support. I also want you to know that funding from foundations and corporations account for roughly 70% of total philanthropy, with the balance coming from individuals. So whether it's a $10 gift or a $10,000 gift, we're grateful for each of our donors. More than 400 individuals made donations to HEART Math Tutoring to support program for this past school year. 54 people supported HEART at the student sponsorship level of $1,000, which provides tutoring for a single student for the entire academic year. And then there were 49 people who gave above $1,000. There are another 250 people who donated at some level below $1,000, making all of this work come to life. So between the time that you spend with our students and the financial support you are providing, thank you for making all of this possible. To close out on reflections and thanks for the past year, I will pass it to HEART's Board Chair, Peter Daniel.
Good evening. I'd like to echo Mary Lauren's thanks to our funders and our volunteer partners. Your support made a difference for 500 students this year and over 4,000 students since the organization was founded. Because of your engagement, this truly is a community-wide impact. Again, by way of reintroduction, I'm Peter Daniel, and I'm finishing my 2nd year as board chair and my 7th year on the board. I also want to recognize and thank our board of directors. As you can see from the slide, this is a great group of talented, engaged people. As you can imagine, this year has been unlike anything you would ever expect when you join a board. So many thanks to the 13 people listed on the screen there. We certainly had a few more meetings than usual as we worked to create an action plan at the onset of the pandemic. And that plan probably changed, frankly, hourly for a little while there. But this group did a great job steering the ship, and I was proud to serve with them. So thanks to all involved. On behalf of the board, I also want to thank Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. One of the main things we were focused on this year as a board and organization is what we could do to be a good partner to CMS, understanding the incredible amount of uncertainty and challenges facing teachers and principals. I know that those of you who are tutors also understand that too, because of the flexibility and understanding that you provided to us as the program had to shift this year. Steve Esposito is the community superintendent for CMS's Southwest Learning Community and also makes time to be on Heart's board of directors. And he has given us countless important insights and perspectives this year on the path forward. So special thanks to Steve. We also want to thank all CMF staff and leaders for all they have done to support students this year. And we extend a lot of appreciation for the challenges you've persevered through during the pandemic. At Heart, we knew it was important to keep the team infrastructure in place, continue to invest in our culture, and be a strong partner to CMS to be able to emerge from this year in a place of health and strength, ready to help students at scale. We've done that thanks to your help. The need for the program to continue supporting more students is immense. And I really hope everyone is asking questions like, how can I stay involved? How can I get more involved? How can I help more kids build a strong foundation in math and enthusiasm for academics? We're glad you asked. And to that end, Emily is going to talk to you about the upcoming school year to finish out tonight's program. Thanks again.
In terms of next year, tutoring is at the center of a national conversation on addressing learning loss. Families with resources have long been taking advantage of the fact that tutoring works. And our math strategies are really appropriate for students of all demographics. But I think, from a strategy standpoint, we're focusing on students who otherwise would not have the resources to access private tutoring. And so by tutoring, you're part of a high impact solution that would not otherwise be available to our school partners and students. We are excited for next year, whether it's virtual or in person, we will be ready, and so will our school partners. There are actually more schools in discussion than we will be able to reach next year, but we do hope that with a strong turnout from volunteers and from funding over the next few years, we can continue to grow the impact across the district. So far, we have funding commitments to support around 23 schools, and we'd like to thank the foundations and corporate partners who have contributed to support Heart Math Tutoring in the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, which determines the number of students we can serve in the upcoming 21-22 school year. Albemarle Foundation and C.D. Spangler Foundation have joined as lead funders again, and we're excited to announce that Maracas Foundation will be supporting Heart as a lead funder as well. You can see all of our corporate and foundation supporters next year. So thank you for your investment in students. And these partners are joined by almost 400 individual donors who are making it all come to life next year. Thank you. In terms of volunteering, we're hopeful that most of the tutoring will take place in person next year, and we're awaiting final guidance from CMS. We will continue to develop the virtual model, thinking about the long-term potential of serving more students that way. So our hope is that any of the volunteers who are located outside of Charlotte will still participate in Heart Math Tutoring next year as virtual tutors. That said, for the most part, for the upcoming school year, we are hopeful that volunteers will be allowed to be in schools. And if so, we anticipate the majority of our schools being in-person tutoring in the best case scenario. So at this point, we're looking for volunteers to sign up who would be willing and ready to do either one, in person or virtual. Just understanding that you'll be asked to pick a location and a time in July that would work for you for in-person or virtually. So right now, we encourage you to put your name in the sign-up form at heartmathtutoring.org and then with plans to pick your location in July and begin tutoring in September. We're also eager to have help spreading the word, so become a part of the ambassadors and find other ways to share the opportunity. We're going to need 1,500 volunteer signups next year to support 23 school sites. That's all we have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us to reflect on the past year and to celebrate everything that our students and families accomplished. School is out for summer.